So we'd like to welcome everybody to the Hood Independent Podcast. Today, our topic is going to be on education, the uh, the second E in education, and we try to present relevant, timely information as it is made known to me or to us. Approximately 1 year to 1 week to 10 days ago, the Toledo Public School System came out with a statement opposing vouchers for kids to attend any school of their choosing. And they were also supported in that effort by the Lucas County Commissioners, which I thought was interesting. But education and school choice is actually a decision between the parent and the child. This has nothing to do with the TPS school board nor the Lucas County Commissioner's office. And you keep in mind the public schools are ran by public dollars, which comes from the taxpayers and it comes from the working people in the Toledo public school system. So it's their money and their children. And so sometimes people need to be reminded of that they work for us, the TPS school board, as well as the county commissioners. They want to act as an independent organization with no responsibilities to the people, to the citizens, or to the taxpayers. And they need to be reminded of that and held accountable for that as well. And so that is where we're going to start our topic today. But prior to that, I just want to do a little housekeeping first. I want to let you know that this podcast um, is being brought to you by the Tin Knockers Corporation. And with the Tin Knockers Corporation, they are a sheet metal fabrication company as well as providing commercial work of HVAC to people in need of HV services. They're located at 228 South Chrissy Road in Holland, Ohio, and they can be called or reached at 419-491-1814, and you can let them know what need or service that you're having. We like to say, give us a call and we'll respond. We can do it all. In addition, we would also like to mention Clum Brothers. The Clum Brothers are also located on Bancroft Street, and their address is 9241 West Bancroft Street. They can be reached at 419-829-3166, and you can ask for Howard or Brian, and they should be able to help you as well. Now, the Clum Brothers Corporation, they offer services in demolition and cleanup, site cleanup. They also do excavating work. In addition to that, they haul and sell gravel or stone for people that may need it. They rent dumpsters for people that are doing cleanups, uh, whether large or small site cleanups. They have the Clum's dumpsters to assist in that area. And then also they do weekly refuge pickup, where if you have a bulk item, they could take it on every first Thursday of the week. And then after that, they can do normal refuge pickup. And then along with the bulk pickup, they can do regular pickup also. So those are the services that are offered by these two corporations, and we like for you to keep them in mind whenever you have any work in any of those given areas. Now, and we also say with the Clown Brothers, or they like to say, the baddest boys on Bancroft Street. So give them a call if you need their services. Companies that place ads on this program do so for the sole purpose of promoting their businesses and the services that they offer. This does not mean that they agree with any of the content that is presented on this podcast. So, getting back to the topic of school choice and the statement that was made by the Toledo Public Schools system, the board, I would say, there's a lot of great people in the Toledo Public School system, teachers and administrators alike. But I am speaking to the elected officials, the board members that came out and made this statement. And it's kind of surprising to me because during the time over COVID, over the last 2 or 3 years, any parents with kids in the public school system are well aware of what happened when they went to the virtual learning system. Now, virtual learning is, in my opinion, and facts bear it out as well, a poor substitute for in person learning. And a lot of our kids fell behind, drastically behind. In fact, there's statistics that prove that our kids now are 2 to 3 years behind their peers, people in their grade levels in the private school system and in the charter school system. Now, if you can remember, when the public schools were doing virtual learning, or sometime, and that took some time to put in place as well, there was no learning taking place. But the private schools were open. Those kids were attending school just as they normally do. And so the people in the public school system were put at a disadvantage. And there's other factors that I won't go into much, but I will touch on briefly, that while kids in the public school system were locked in their homes and not allowed to attend school or to see their friends, that we've seen a major spike in suicide and suicide attempts because young people need to be around their peers to increase and use their social skills. So when they were kept away from school, especially with our grade school children, when they weren't able to see their friends and to go to school to do the firsthand learning, they fell into a state of depression, and that also accompanied the virtual learning, which shows that that is not the most effective method to to teach school. Now I realized something had to be done when COVID came along because we were all adjusting and adapting to it. But there is also evidence to prove that children were not carriers or spreaders of COVID. So after the fact, in retrospect, looking back at it, now people realize that the kids should have been in school all along. The people who were at risk was people with pre-existing conditions and seniors. They were the most at risk, not our kids. And so there's a great disservice and damage done to people, to our children. And so the people have every right, when they see a better alternative to educate their kids, to take that. That's why I support school vouchers, for people to get vouchers and go wherever they choose to, wherever they think they can best be educated. They have a right to go there and to pursue that education. And over the last 2 or 3 years, also, we've seen a rise in private schools and in charter schools, basically STEM schools. STEMs is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, the things that you're going to need to get an education in, to go out and get a job in this technological workforce that we're in today. And those STEM classes, uh, 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 they also complement the foundational teaching that's always been in the public school system, which is reading, writing, and arithmetic. And so you add the STEMs on top of that, then that would put you in a position to compete with your peers, because there's other kids out there. All the kids are not in the public school system. You're going to have to go out when you get older and compete against people in private schools and charter schools that have a decided advantage. And so it's going to hurt the kids in the public school system. So any parent that is interested in educating their child and making sure that their child receives the best education have every right to have a voucher and to take their kids to a school that can do a better job of preparing those those kids. As I stated before, and this is no knock on the teachers in the TPS system. They do an excellent job. And we can also say with the superintendent, which everybody knows and considers him a rock star in the public school system. But he's just one man in a system, and he can only go and do as much as the system allows him to do. And so, we give kudos to the superintendent, but he's one man working in a trying system. And so people have been taking their kids out. And the reason that they want to oppose this, they don't want the kids to leave the public schools and go to the private schools and go to the charter schools, which is their choice. After all, it's their future and their lives we're talking about, not the TPS school system. And so, um, as I stated before, our kids are behind and they're going to stay behind unless some additional training is done, either tutoring these kids in after school hours or even contemplating going to summer school to make up some of the lost ground that was lost during the COVID lockdown. Because if that's not done, then they're going to be behind even further, and they're going to get to uh, say a freshman in high school and they're only reading and learning at a seventh grade label. So they're constantly losing ground to their peers who was in school all during the COVID crisis. As I stated, school choice is between a parent and a child. They pay the taxes for the public school system. The statement was, I believe, was made by TPS that they didn't want more resources taken out of the public school system and going to these other systems. But the people that pay the taxes, if they decide to take their kids somewhere else, again, they have every right to do so because there is their tax dollars that's paying for TPS education in the first place. And so there's a lot to keep in mind when you look at this. So, as we go forward and this debate continues, I believe there is a need for more STEM schools. I believe there is a need for more private schools. And yes, for those who are happy and satisfied with the public school system, they have every right to stay there and leave their kids in that system. But then also in the public school system, and it's something to be aware of. I haven't visited it, so I can't say for certain. But there's a lot of things going on in the public school system today that does not have anything to do with education, such as CRT, critical race theory, uh, um, gender dysphoria or gender transition have nothing to do with education. Some schools have transgenders come into the school and do the tranny stories telling to our youngest kids, our most vulnerable kids, high school, grade school, kindergarten, first grade, and so on. Drag Queen Hour, I believe is what it's called. And they come in and they read these stories and doing all these gyrations in front of our kids and polluting the mind and the innocence of these young people. And so that has nothing to do with education. And then there is information and evidence that shows that there is a dumbing down of the kids in the public school system. They're not raising the bar, they're lowering the bar. And you have to keep in mind that, as you said, once these kids graduate from grade school, high school, or wherever, they then have to go out into the same marketplace and compete with kids who have gotten quality educations, and we know how that turns out. So, parents, you have to take your own kids' education into your own hands. It's a personal challenge and a personal choice to you to make sure that your kids get the best education possible wherever and whatever school system that takes them to. So we just wanted to share that information briefly. We're not going to be before you long tonight, but education has been said is the great equalizer. So if you're not getting off to a proper start with your education, you're going to find yourself behind in all the other major categories as you go forth in your life, um, trying to make a difference and a life for yourself in this society. So thank you again for listening. And as I stated, education is important. So thank you all for listening.